Zohran Mamdani picks take key House primaries amid a broad battle over Democrats' direction. New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani and key allies secured major wins in Tuesday's congressional primaries as they look to build on his 2025 victory by expanding the power and presence of the Democratic Socialist movement in Washington. Former New York City Comptroller Brad Lander dethroned Democratic Republican Dan Goldman in the Democratic primary for New York's 10th district without much tension Tuesday. The first victory for the Mamdani-backed slate, Lander captured about 2/3 of the vote. Soon afterwards, NBC News projected that state legislator Claire Valdez had defeated Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso in the open 7th district, where longtime Republican Nadia Velasquez is retired. Velasquez and a number of prominent city political leaders backed Reynoso, who leaned on his relationship in Brooklyn and his record on issues like police reform. But they were no match for Mamdani and the other allies who elevated Valdez, 36, first-termer in the state assembly who moved to the city in 2015. She ran a hard-charging campaign calling for Medicare for all and a public option for housing, and she argued she was a stronger advocate than Reynoso in their approaches to criticizing Israel's conduct in this war against Hamas. Dan Dario Liza Avila Chavez, another young Democrat, socialist, and communist activist whose campaign flew under the radar before Mamdani endorsed her, defeated 10-year Representative Adriano Espaillat, chairman of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. The race turned ugly in the final weeks, and Avila Chavez charged Espaillat with neglecting his working-class constituents and being out of step with Democratic voters on Israel. Espaillat and his allies, meanwhile, zeroes in on a number of controversial past social media posts by his rival, including one in which she profanely criticized Democratic leaders. Other dynamic in play in Tuesday primaries across 4 states includes tens of millions of dollars from super PACs funded by the artificial intelligence industry, pro-Israel groups, and a pair of wealthy Democrats engaged in a knockdown, drag-out primary in Maryland. But the success of the Mamdani-led power play across New York was the biggest news of the night. The district spread out across the 3 of the city's boroughs, share some similarities. All 3 are among the city's most rapidly gentrifying neighborhoods, and Valdez herself, somewhat recent transparent to her district. All 3 are also among the districts where Mamdani performed the strongest in his mayoral election last fall against Democratic former Governor Andrew Cuomo. It was an honor 1 year ago to work together to elect him the mayor of New York City, Lander said Mamdani in his victory speech, adding, "What a glorious time to be New York." The victories follow other contestants' primary wins for upstart, progression, and socialist candidates in recent months, including veterans oyster farmer Graham Plattner in the Maine Senate primary, Randy Villages in the California Swing District, State Representative Chris Rabb in the Blue District in Philadelphia, and Adam Holloway in Representative Anna Leah Magia in a pair of New Jersey districts. In other contests, led aligned candidates Abdul El Say and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan are top contenders in Democratic Senate primaries in Michigan and Minnesota. respectively. It's a big night for sure. Rebecca Katz, a prominent Democratic socialist and ally whose firm worked with Mamdani during his 2025 run, said the Mamdani-backed candidate sweeping Tuesday. The energy there, but every congressional district is different. To win in November, Democrats must embrace candidates who can authentically speak to the electorate they're running to represent. For Mamdani, the results represent a significant return on investments of his political capital after he endorsed against a close ally in one race and went back on the promise not to jump into another. He campaigned hard for the candidate he backed, appearing with them during the final days of the contest and cutting an ad alongside them in which he branded the slate as his team. The victories are part of the Democratic social effort to prove the durability of their movement and redefine what it means to be a progression in the modern Democratic parties. Fiery debates over Israel policy define all three races as the challengers all sought to speak to the growing group of Democrats who sour on Israel amid its war with Hamas in Gaza. All three called Israel conduct genocide and made the issue an important piece of their campaigns. Meanwhile, their opponents pointed to what they argued were important progressive victories they helped achieve in recent years. Goldman was led counsel during President Donald Trump's first impeachment. Reynoso led the City Council Progressive Caucus, and S. Pollard is a former undocumented immigrant who has pressured the Trump administration on immigration. But the challengers argue that it's not enough for Democrats to cling to the old model of what it means to be a progressive at this pivotal moment, not just as Trump and Republicans control all of Washington, but also as the cost of living continues to loom large in voters' minds. Races and other competitive primaries did not produce the same shock Tuesday, while the shared political DNA of New York districts helped create fertile ground for anti-establishment campaigns drafting off Mamdani's success. Other forces remain influential in other places. In Maryland, where retiring Democratic Republican Steny Hoyer has represented the 5th District for decades, State Adrian Balfour, former Hoyer aide, won. There's no indication that the millions of pro-Israel super PACs spent to boost him did anything but help. In Utah's 1st District, a new Democratic district in Salt Lake City created after court struck down the congressional lines there. Former Representative Ben McAdams won the primary over a progressive state lawmaker backed by Senate Bernie Sanders. And in upstate New York, former National Secretary Council official and Army veteran Kai Connolly won the Democratic Party's primary in the 17th District with support from some key national Democratic groups. She'll take on Republican Representative Mike Lord this fall in one of the most competitive congressional districts in the county. In any case, Republicans frame Mamdani's victories as signals for where the border party is heading this fall. National Republican Congressional Committee spokesperson Mike Marinella said in a statement that Tuesday was the night the Democratic establishment officially surrendered to Zohran Mamdani and the socialist ring of the party's every House Democrat in safe and competitive districts alike, will now answer to the radical calling of the shots. Elsewhere in New York City, the dramatic clash between competing visions of AI regulations has drawn tens of millions of dollars into the 12th district. But the winner, assembling Michael Lashley, sidestepped the debate and won the Democratic primary. Lashley has the backing of NIDA, as well as major state party leaders, including Governor Kathy Hochul and former Mayor Michael Bloomberg. who remains popular in the Manhattan district where older voters play an outside role in the election. Lashley has worked for all three. Initially, the race looked to be defined either by tech titans spending in response to assembling Alex Boris' aggressive calls to regulate AI, national attention on the Kennedy family scorn, or George Conway's prominent Never Trump branding, but ultimately Lashley leaned on his deep local ties to win the contest. This was an unprecedented fight, and one we did not back down from. Boris said in the statement, though we'll come up short tonight, the example set here was not the one the AI obligation intended. They set out to make people afraid to stand up to them. Instead, they learned just how ready people are to push back.